everyone. Welcome, romance enthusiasts. I am Becky, and welcome to another exciting episode of Buzzing About Romance. And joining me on the playing field today is Heather. Hey, Heather.
Hey.
And Jenny.
Hi.
And Lindsay. Hey, Lindsay.
Hi.
We are diving headfirst into the world of sports romance, exploring the irresistible allure of a particular trope that makes hearts race faster than a championship-winning goal. Get ready to cheer for love as we kick off another episode of Buzzing About Romance, where passion meets play and happily ever afters are the real MVPs. I am spicing up our intros for Leah.
Wow, are you ever?
Right? Like?
Yeah,
Very
it's nice.
Look at Jenny. She's trying so hard not to be like, what is wrong with you, Becky? Like, too
You
far.
got some good, words in there.
Jenny's face is very loud, which I
It
love
is.
Jenny for it.
It is very
Yeah.
loud. Okay,
Yep.
so before we get into the actual part of the episode, I first want to talk about a hot topic because I want to put out some clarifications. The good and the bad of social media and being mutuals, parasocial relationships with authors is sometimes we see things and we don't understand it, and it's not necessarily for us, the consumer. So we kind of had that this week. Findaway Voices, which is an audiobook distributor, was purchased last year by Spotify. So it is now called Findaway Voices by Spotify. They recently, as of Thursday, updated the terms of service, and within that, Spotify muddled the waters of what uses they can do with audiobooks that are uploaded to their site. By Friday p.m., they had sent out a notice that they were rolling back their terms of service and clarifying what their intended purpose was. Because of the rise of AI and using narrator voices to train language models, but also the use of authors' work, the gut reaction was many authors was to share it out on Thursday and state they were removing their books from Findaway Voices. But here's the bad. Findaway is also what is used to distribute audio to Hoopla and Libby. Okay, do I think we'll see authors still pulling out a Findaway with the new terms of service update? Likely. Likely until contract lawyers really get a terms and chance to look at it, and the Writers Guild says yay or nay. I do think authors will err on the side of caution. Authors are very skeptical these days because of AI, so don't panic just yet about audiobooks on Spotify or in Hoopla. There is a blog post with clarification from Spotify, and I will link it in our On the Shelf show notes for this episode. And there are some things within that blog post that are not straight answers, but I did put a media request in and ask them to clarify some things. So I'll let you know if and when Spotify responds to my media request for information.
And I think my gut reaction to this, with Becky, you and I talked about it, is I think reading should be available to everybody, right? That's
Right.
the bonus of Hoopla and Libby. And we know that not every library is created equal, but audiobooks also level that playing field for people. It enables a lot of people to be readers that maybe couldn't potentially be readers. So it's sort of heartbreaking that we're making books less accessible versus more accessible.
It is. And it's such a sticky wicket with AI right now.
For sure.
And do I think some authors overreacted? A little bit, yes, because I did hear a contract lawyer make comments about that's kind of boilerplate language. Yes, do they need to clarify? But in the end, if they did something, you would have the power to roll it back and to make them undo. So it'll be interesting to see how it rolls out, how things happen. And I think it was Kylie Scott that said, there's so many former lawyers that are authors now. I mean, I can name 5 off the top of my head.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it was Avery Flynn that said you can't swing a cat, not that she was swinging a cat, and not hit a lawyer in Romancelandia. So I do think there's going to be more to come, But sometimes when we see these gut responses from authors, just know it's because they're passionate about what they do and they want to protect their intellectual property rights, but it eventually will stable out. You aren't going to see every audiobook disappear off Spotify or off Hoopla because TradPub has to get involved in this now, right?
That's what I was gonna say. Like I mean, it's harder when you're an indie author and you're going up against these like big corporations that have like unlimited funds. But yeah, once TradPub gets involved, like things tend to even out.
And we haven't seen any responses on TradPub. Like HarperCollins has not made a statement. Macmillan Press did not make a statement. So until they're making a statement that they're pulling their content, I think it's okay for right now.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, indie authors also have a responsibility to themselves first and foremost.
For sure.
100%.
They are the only advocate of their income. Like, this is a business,
For sure.
first and foremost for them. And like we have to remember that. Like, we get a lot of free books from indie authors, but they're not free. We're paying for a service, Kindle Unlimited, whatever we're using to read them. And at the end of the day, like, it is very expensive for them to do what they do, and the costs and returns are minimal. So they have to, well, I try to give them grace because I want them to give me more books. And
Absolutely. It is a
if
business.
they can't make money off of it.
Yeah, right. So this was supposed to go into effect by March 15th. Spotify has said, we're rolling back our terms of service at this point. We're going to clarify and come back. The March 17th date does not matter at this moment. So I expect to hear more in the coming weeks from Spotify about this. Okay, new segment, Romance Term of the Week. This was asked by Gretchen, who often asks our Term of the Week. We should really just call this the Gretchen segment.
We should.
We should.
Yeah.
So this week's Term of the Week is the morality chain. What is a morality chain in a romance novel? In a romance novel, the term morality chain typically refers to a character who serves as a positive influence on another character, helping them make ethical and moral decisions. The morality chain often acts as a stabilizer or redeeming force in the story. This character might inspire the others to overcome flaws, make better choices, or grow emotionally. So you would see a morality chain in a romance with a villain, but not a romance with an anti-hero. Because remember, anti-heroes don't change.
No.
We did that already, right?
Yeah. The rules were hard.
In the concept of a morality chain, it adds depth and complexity to characters and the relationships. It can be a central theme in the development of the romantic plot, showcasing the transformative power of love and moral support. The morality chain may guide the other characters towards personal growth, moral improvement, ultimately contributing to the overall romantic narrative and the HEA. Oh my God, Leah. Rules are made to be broken.
Nobody asked for your opinion, Leah.
Okay, so here's our intro. And I spiced it up for Leah. You ready? Okay, on this episode of Buzzing About Romance, we're talking about siblings best friend trope in the context of sports romances. It's the kind of love story that sets the field on fire, where passion both on and off the field takes center stage. So lace up your metaphorical cleats, grab your favorite sports drink, and get ready for a thrilling ride through the dynamic realm with athletic prowess meets undeniable chemistry.
Ooh,
Spicy, right?
very.
Okay, so I had a problem after I came up with this topic. Siblings best friend in sports romances, it's not as common as teammates sibling.
Okay, yeah, I texted Becky today and I was like, Becky, I don't know that I have enough recs to actually be on this episode. Like, I was like, I forgot that it was context of sports. I thought it was just siblings best friend. I was like, I have 3,000 siblings best friends. But then when it's sports, it's like siblings teammate. Or sometimes siblings best friend, but mostly like siblings teammate. And anyway, we obviously sorted that out.
We decided there are no rules, that if they're teammates, they're best friends.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't even ask anyone, and that's the rule I went with.
What about
Yeah.
you,
Well,
Jenny?
'cause-
Did you stick
Well,
to the
because
rules?
I was like, oh, this is kind of my fault because like you put out like found family in sports or siblings best friend. And I was like, oh, let's do siblings best friend because we're doing found family later. Oh,
Well, and then I made up tropes as I made my list together because I have
Well,
best frenemies, sister. Because sometimes they're on the same team and they don't like each other.
Yeah, I like that one. That one is
Look
the
at
one.
Lindsay. She's like, I like that
My
one.
number one is like I want that one. Thank you.
So we just made up a whole new trope.
I don't see. I think it's because I'm not a huge enemies to lovers person.
Bishop. The
Okay. Well, I do have them because I do freaking love that book so much.
Right. So a
When
favor
he
for
is
a
in the
favor
Oh my
is
God.
brother's best frenemy.
In the
Yeah.
elevator,
Love
when
that
he's
book.
sitting by the elevator, I about peed my literal pants. But that's funny.
But there's also the Marilyn Kelly one, Dirty Secret. They're
Yeah, that was
frenemies.
one of my top. The Dirty Secret was the first one I thought of, and I was like, I want that one.
Veronica Eden's too.
Which one?
The first one.
Iced Out?
it's out.
Yeah.
They're not siblings. There's no siblings.
No, but they're frenemies.
Oh, he's
Oh,
a
they're
rival.
like
Like,
opponents.
Their
opponents,
brothers not
yeah.
on the same team. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're right.
Well, they play the same sport.
That's
They
true.
do. They do.
That's
I think
true.
that works. It's right. It's a brother's rival.
Brother's best rival romance. Yeah. So we just
Because
made
then if they were on the
shit
same
up.
team, they'd have to play together.
They would. They would.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's talk about teammates, sibling, or siblings best friend trope in sports. So let's talk about this because it's actually back when we did female archetypes. Lindsay came up with what I think is the perfect description of little sister, brother's best friend romances and the females that we see in these books. And she said they are the epitome of femme fatales. And I can't get that out of my head now. Whenever I read a sibling's best friend, the ones I love are the ones where she's like, we should just do this. We don't need to tell him.
Yeah, and
That's
like I
true.
think Little Lies is kind of a good example of that. Like she like puts forward her most aggressive, like true self. And like she's very like she fully just embraces herself and she torments him. She torments him into like finally giving in.
Well,
Right, and that's a lot of like her standing up for herself, right?
Yeah.
Like she's been kind of like babied by everybody and she's just like fed up.
Yep.
I think about Major Misconduct by Kelly Jameson.
yes, that is a perfect
Lovey,
femme fatale.
oh my God. Lovey like just moves in to their apartment and just like is just like super aggressive.
Bending over, leaving her clothes laying, like her bra laying out in the bathroom, and like stripping as she's walking down the hallway, and her
Yeah.
back is to him. And he just is like, I can't. Your brother's my best friend, my roommate, my teammate. It'd be wrong. And she's like bending over, dropping stuff. It's so fun.
If you love this trope, that book needs to be read. You have to read it because the way Army finds out, literal best scene ever. Do
Oh.
you remember?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's the
wanna
one
give
I
it
was
away.
listening to. That's the one I was listening to when I found out my car is not soundproof.
It is so good. I need to get that audio.
It's
Oh
really
my
good. Yes, that's the one I was listening to when I realized my car is not soundproof.
Yes.
I really do think we need a sticker that says your car is not soundproof. But so when I think of femme fatale, so as I was going through my list, those are the characters I was looking for, right? Because even in her awkwardness, so we used a couple other Helena books, so we'll use another one. In Pucked, Violet, her stepbrother, is on Alex's team, and she's awkward AF. But she is a bit of a femme fatale. Like, she pursues.
And she has a one-night stand with him.
Well, okay, I just redid the audio, which BT dubs do yourself a favor, do that. He kind of aggressively goes after her and then kind of cools off, and then she is like all about the, you know.
Yeah. Such a
Mhm.
good series. So, okay, so there's always an extra layer of excitement that comes with the sibling's best friend. What is it about siblings or teammates? That small connection that puts these heroine and heroes, these people, they could either be at odds or they could be friends. So what is it about those that we love? Why is this one of those tropes that we're like, "Oh yeah, I'm in." Why do you keep reading them?
Yes.
What did you say?
The awkwardness.
The
Just
awkwardness.
like, yeah. Like I don't know, like hiding that feeling or like them getting caught in a weird
Mhm.
position and having to try to explain that away.
Well, I was thinking of the first Van by Sawyer Bennett. When those
Mhm.
two, when Simone and Van get found out by the brothers, it's bonkers. They are so ridiculous. It's
They
so
are.
over the top. But she's just like, shut up. I don't care what you say. This is what I'm doing. She's kind of a badass. And
She
that's
really
what
is.
I like. Is the sister oftentimes is forced to stand up for herself. And she might not have always done that with her brothers.
Yeah, I think the draw is like from my perspective, like my brother played sports. I feel like we were always like there. You know what I mean? Like it's a large part of their life. So I think about like that, like if I think about a hockey team, right? Well, the teammates may change, like hockey's been a huge part of her life too, because it, like he made it to pro, so that means he played a lot of hockey.
Right. Right. Well, and in Van, she has two siblings that are on
Yeah.
the same team with him, which just adds a
Mhm.
layer of awkwardness.
Well, and he was kind of like the bad boy, right?
He was. Well, the closed off, the quiet one, nobody knew anything about him.
It reminds me of those TikToks where like they're like, which teammate wouldn't you let date your sister? He would
Yes.
probably be the one that you wouldn't want dating your
Well,
sister.
and I always think that it's interesting when we get into siblings best friend. Um, so it's forbidden longing, right?
Mhm.
They're together, but typically the brother, the teammate, is like, no. But sometimes we do see sisters when it's, you know, I'm best friends with this girl and her brother plays for this team. Sometimes we do see that where the sister is like, no, please do not date my brother.
Mhm.
But then other times the sisters are the matchmakers. Because if I think about Making His Play by Mary Carr, the sister in that book, she is trying to push the two of them together.
Well, Kendall Ryan has one too.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like the front, you know, is like, you hurt her and I'll kill you, you know.
Yeah. Do you have any books like that, Jenny, where the sister is either the matchmaker or the one? Because we often see the brother reaction, but we don't always get the sister reaction.
Yeah, I don't think I have any sister ones.
Yeah.
No. Because that's like, as I was looking through books for this, like, yeah, a lot of times it's the brother's best friend. Like, uh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess because we see more professional male athletes.
we do. Well, and I think The Game Plan by Kristen Callahan, the brother actually plays the matchmaker to put
Yeah.
his sister and his teammate together. And I like those. I like when the brother is a little bit of a matchmaker. Um, Would You Marry
Well,
Me by Daphne Elliott, which is lumberjack sports. The brother's cool with it. He's completely cool with it. He wants them to be happy.
Goal Chaser by Stacey Lynn is a hockey romance. And the sister asks the brother, like, can she move in with you because she needs protection and we need to get her out of Dodge? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then she's like, oh, you're together. Like, she wasn't upset. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, my best friend and my brother, like, nothing could be better.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Like, it always like gets me when they're like, oh, you can't like date my sibling, but you're okay to be my friend. Like,
I think it's more of an issue in like the sibling's best friend when it's the brother's best friend, not the sister's best friend.
I agree.
Because the sister's like, no, you're officially my sister. Like, yay.
Yeah.
Like the
Mhm.
brother is like, you've been man whoring around and I'm not cool with that. Like, you cannot do that to my sister. Like, it's usually like a hard line, like where and I think it comes like, I think it makes sense, honestly, with like the emotional maturity. Men aren't like really in sync on that front very much. So it's like when the brother's best friend is falling in love with the sister, it's usually like reformed behavior. But
Mhm.
the best friend is so behind the times because they're too busy like talking about other things. Like the men don't go talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense in the context of men from that perspective. And I think like that's why we see more of it, because like the brother is like, you haven't changed your ways. You're gonna hurt her feelings. You're gonna break her heart, and I'm gonna freaking kill you. And then the best friend is like, no, dude, like I actually am different with her.
Yeah. Well, if we look at the Chicago Racketeers, which is by Emma Fox, it's a Why Choose
Mhm.
hockey romance. One of the guys is the brother of the heroine's best friend. And so not only does she have it to accept that her best friend is with her brother, but also there are two other guys in their little complicated relationship.
The Fake Out by Eden Finley. It was like a fake boyfriend situation, and Maddox and like the best friend and the guy, Maddox are best friends. And she sets him up like as a fake date with her brother and didn't think it was gonna work. And then she was like, what? So best series too. So good.
Yeah. So I think that the forbidden nature of a potential disapproving sibling just
Mhm.
adds a layer of complexity to these stories that even if it's kind of a similar situation, each one feels unique to its situation. Because sometimes they're fake relationships, sometimes they're, so the ones that I actually really think are my favorites are when they meet outside the siblings,
Mm.
when they
Yeah.
don't know that it's so and so sibling. And if we think about Dirty Secret by Marilyn Kelly, they have a one night stand in Canada where he's a player. She goes back to Chicago and then gets traded to the Chicago team.
Mhm.
And in A Favor for a Favor, Bishop doesn't know at first that Stevie is.
Yeah,
he thinks she's a hooker or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks that she's like his mistress or whatever.
Something
Oh my
because
God,
he's
that's so
married and,
funny.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
so
the
funny.
mistress.
But then we have unique stories where there's a complexity because they're more than friends. So if you look at Stone by Sawyer Bennett.
How did I forget that one?
How did you forget that one, Heather?
Oh my, and Stone is one of my favorites.
So in that
Heather.
book, Stone's brother is best friends with Harlow. And we all know that Stone's brother was in the plane that crashed with the Pittsburgh Titans in it. And they come together and form a friendship because she's the executor of his brother's will. So that just adds a different complexity to it.
Yes.
We then also have, so I love when Teammates sibling is based and their relationship starts as a fake relationship. Because Fake Start by Jasmine Miller.
Another stellar book.
Like, Heather's like, wait, how did I miss all these books?
I know, because I did like a cursory glance. Big Start's so good. Jasmine Miller's that series is so good.
Yeah. And so you have a situation with that book where, she's just helping him out for, a sponsor situation. So there's that fakeness. I'm trying
How
to
about like
think.
a friends with benefits, like which only one love, like they're like friends with benefits kind of, right? And they like the siblings hate him, and then they're like, the sex tape and that whole thing.
Well,
Pretty.
and then I have like Against the Boards by Danica Flynn. That's brother's best friend, but also they're roommates. So you have that close proximity, and the brother's gone for the summer. So they're kind of sneaking around,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I mean, that just adds a little bit of spice.
Dream Maker by Stacey Lynn, they wake up in Vegas married. And they were like, holy crap. It's so good.
I love that. Okay, Jenny, which ones do you have that are a little bit like complex? Like building. So I'll give you an example. I have Wild Wicked Stallion by Mary Carr. He is a pro football or a pro hockey player. They're snowed in together. They do it over the weekend and it ends up she gets accidentally pregnant. Yeah. So snowed in, accidental pregnancy. Like, sign me up. And guess who his best friend is that he seeks advice from? The hero for making his play. Like, that. What?
I'm gonna write this series down.
Well, Mary Carr's getting ready to launch a hockey series. I know. And I believe the hero from making his play is going to be like a coach on the team. So, anyway. So, Jenny, give me some book recs of yours that have a little bit of complexity to either how they meet or how they come together. What you got?
All right, I got one. Wish by Cambria Herbert. It's a male. It's book 3 in the Westbrook Elite. They're a swim team, so like the swim team is like the popular people at their college. But what makes it complex is Max is like also not only his brother's best friend, but also his like was his guardian. Like the parents had been in an accident and like
So he
had
was his
taken over.
brother's guardian too.
The brother and Max are like the same age, but Max got guardianship over Wes.
Oh.
So until he like turned 18.
Holy taboo for you, Jenny.
And Wes doesn't know that Max is bi.
Okay.
So even though he's not really quiet about it.
What kind of complexity do you have over there, Lindsay?
I have Faked by Carlos Sorensen. This is a snowboard romance, so it's a little bit different. Like they're not on the same team, but it's also like siblings, best friend's brother. And like it's supposed to be siblings' best friend, but then his brother shows up instead, and he's a bad boy snowboarder. And I love Bauer. Like he's one of my favorite heroes. I'll recommend this book 10,000 times.
What do you got for complexity, Heather?
Well, I think Dominic by Sawyer Bennett. So Dominic owns the team.
But don't you think that one's a little bit like it's because it's more than friendship, their relationship.
Yeah, correct. So it's super complex, and I'm totally blanking on her name. I looked at it this morning too. She sort of is like
No, Dax. Are you thinking Dominic?
Nope, Dominic. So Willow is Dax's sister. And Willow is sort of this like free spirit, and she's like this photographer, and Dominic is like, trying to get her, and she's like, I had time for this. I like have my life to live. And Dax is like, you aren't gonna pin this girl down. Like, good luck with that. Like, it's so good. And Dominic is so powerful, and he always gets what he wants. And Willow's like, see ya.
Well, and I thought you were talking about Dax because there is a complexity to that story also by Sawyer Bennett.
Yes. So Dax's best friend is murdered, and his sister is had guardianship of the sister, and it is this whole like
She has a chronic
so
illness that requires a certain kind of medication,
Mhm.
and the brother was funding it. And now that he's passed, she doesn't know how she has a chronic illness and doesn't know how she's going to manage the medicine.
And it's debilitating. And so Dax is like, he's such a good guy, and he's like, well, let's just get married. And like he like flat out tells Dominic, like, we're getting married for health insurance, and Dominic's like, cool.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they fall in love, and it's Dax is my book boyfriend. So
yeah, we know you own him. So I was thinking about we have one by Lexi Ryan that is If It's Only Love by Lexi Ryan. So this is a brother's best friend. He's a pro football player that's retired and coming back to their small town. She's pregnant with another man's baby who she finds out, well, who was her professor, but she also finds out he's married. So it's sticky, but the complexity in which they come together to support each other. And he's a single dad and has a daughter, but he's not her biological father. His ex-wife tried to pawn her off as his. So there's all these layers of complexity, but you get this really great, solid story. But he is retired. So it's after he's a coach. I think he's coaching at the high school or at the university where she is a student and the professor teaches. So it's messy, but it's worth it.
I like messy.
Do you need the title again?
Yeah.
If It's Only Love by Lexi Ryan. If you haven't read the Brothers of Jackson Harbor series, read it. They own a distillery in this small Michigan town that's on Lake Michigan's coast, like think Glen Harbor area. And it is amazing. It's such a great series. And, so Holding by Alexandria House is another one that's got complexity to it because it's a second chance romance, but they're divorced because she's bipolar. And they come together again because she's struggling with her mental health and he's a hockey player. It's also a Black romance, and the audiobook, Wesley Chabon reads the audiobook. 10 out of 10, cannot recommend this book enough. The ebook is in Kindle Unlimited and the audiobook's on Hoopla. So, highly recommend Holding by Alexandria House. Okay. Bane by Sawyer Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
That one is super complex.
So complex.
Because they have a one-night stand. So they but they technically meet because of his brother, because of Drake.
For sure.
Because of her brother. And they have a one-night stand and an accidental pregnancy. Well, I guess they're friends with benefits.
They're definitely friends with benefits. It's like a one-time thing, and they're like, just kidding, we can't stay away from each other.
Who's going to be friends with benefits with your brother's teammate? That's just asking for trouble, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. That's why I love her. She's the best.
Okay, so what else do we got? Do you have one? Go ahead.
I have Goal Lines and First Times. It's a CU hockey series. One of them is trying to figure out, are they bi? Are they demi? He's just not really sure where he falls. So he's been texting one of his brother's teammates and has no idea. And then they kind of figure it out. And the brother's teammate, the whole series is really good. And they kind of figure out when they're in a hotel together. It's hilarious.
Who's that series by?
Ian Finley and Saxon James.
Okay.
Thinking Unlimited.
In Leave Me Breathless by Carrie Elks, that one is they meet outside the sibling because she's running away from her family in DC because her ex-fiance is still working for her father. And the family isn't listening to her when she says they broke up. So she knows that her brother's former, it's winter sports. She knows that her brother's former teammate lives in this small mountain town in West Virginia. And she's like, I'm going there, and kind of shows up on his doorstep. So there is that one. And so she doesn't come in free of, baggage into that one. And I think that's what I love about this trope. It's messy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a super messy. There's always something messy about this trope.
Yeah, someone's feelings kind of get hurt. Like there's a lot of feelings. Like that's where the emotional angst kind of comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause there's that balance, right? Of like when you tell the other people and like, is it that serious yet? Like, do we want to deal with those problems, or are we going to get found out?
Well, and like Only One Kiss by Natasha Madison, in that book, Evan and Ralph are best friends and teammates. I think they're former teammates. Candace takes Ralph on as a client. So theirs is messy because when he screws up, well, and he's also a single dad. The mother of the child died in childbirth. And he's just a hot mess.
He's like a walking disaster.
And then when their dark moment, he has trouble with reality a little bit. But it's messy. And I think that that's part of what I like about it is it feels real, right?
Does. It feels real, and they're also overcoming like adversity or like challenges in their relationship. So you're always left with a really strong HEA. Like they've overcome a challenging situation. They've been forced to communicate. They have a strong foundation emotionally and for the relationship. So like the HEA is really strong. It's a very satisfying resolution in almost all of these books, even though it's a bumpy ride.
It's always bumpy, right?
Super bumpy.
Okay, what other siblings, best friend, sports romance Rex? Is there a book we haven't mentioned yet that you think more people need to read? Go on it, Heather. You've got the floor.
Face Off by Kelly Jameson. So it's the Heller Brothers series, Tag. So they're not like Tag plays hockey, but they go up to their family like cottage or whatever for the week to get away. And his best friend from childhood's sister comes up and she's like exhausted. She's a lawyer. And they sneak out and they hook up in a tent with both of their families at the cabin. And it is like for a week. And they think nobody knows. And it's so freaking good. It's so good.
Kelly Jameson likes messy because if you think about what's the one with the brother that's the runaway bride?
Jackson Wynn.
Jackson Wynn's book. If you think about that one, like I mean, it's his teammate's ex and he's going back to that team. And he just ran away with her and spent the whole summer with her. It's cool.
And brings him with her whole family.
Yes.
But so I think honestly, we always say the Aces is a super underrated series. I actually think the Heller Brothers is super duper underrated. And I think it's only like 3 or 4 books.
I think it's 4.
And I just think if you're gonna dive into Kelly Jameson, this is a series because I think you're gonna meet them again.
Well, I think we're gonna meet them again in her next part of her New York series.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the last New York book, it was said that the Heller brothers, the older generation, bought the team. And I am there for it. Okay,
Right.
Jenny, what sports romance have we not talked about? It's a teammate's best friend, sibling's best friend that you think is underrated that people need to read.
The Hardest Fall by Ella Mays.
Okay, but wait, how are they siblings best friends?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, he doesn't really know.
Well, right.
Yeah.
It's his teammate's sister, but nobody knows that it's the teammate's sister.
Correct.
Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's a great book. And the audiobook in that one is phenomenal. And I believe Sebastian York reads that one.
I
Look at
just really
Jenny.
like that
She's
book.
like a little meerkat. What about you, Lindsay? Do you have a siblings, teammate, or best friend romance that you think more people need to read?
We already talked about all of mine in the episode.
It's okay. You can repeat one that you think is underrated that people aren't reading.
Dirty Secret. I love it so much. It was my number one.
Marilyn Kelly has a new one, Dirty D-Man. The audio is in Hoopla and the books are in KU. It was really good. I listened to it last week. It was really well done.
I really love the Slayers hockey series. It's so good. All the books are good.
It's one of the few friends to lovers romances that I love and will recommend is in that series, book 3.
Dirty Flirt is coming very, very soon. And you might know someone that has it on their Kindle.
Who? Well, a certain GM in Pittsburgh is on my Kindle.
Same.
Oh, well, whatever. Whatever. You suck.
My Kindle's just jealous of all your Kindles. I'm gonna
Your Kindle is probably doesn't take on more than the Kindle can handle.
Right. Your Kindle
Because
probably has
remember my
better time
goal?
management.
Remember my goal of like not taking on ARCs, and then we're talking to Susan yesterday, and I'm like, oh, I don't have this one on my Kindle. That's a read now. I'm gonna put it there.
Oh, yeah, for her series.
Like I have time, but I'm making time, I guess.
I mean, I would totally pay to get the book early. Like I have done that. I've been like, look, I'm not good at reviews. I'm not good at posting reviews. I've already pre-ordered the audiobook and the ebook and the paperback. Can I please have the ARC? Can I please have the ARC? Like
I'm fairly
I've done
certain
that,
if you emailed
but-
Lisa, she would give you Sawyer's book early. But Sawyer does a really great thing where her books show up early on her website and you can buy them directly from there. And that does make life, you don't have to wait as long. So, So yeah, I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about. J.C. Burton has one called Melting the Ice. It's a brother's best friend hockey romance. J.C. Burton has that sports series. It's all random sports. I do not like the new Trad Pub covers that Berkeley's putting on them, but the books are really good. Ignore the ugly illustrated covers that look stupid. That look like they're sweet little teens, but there's like really emotional butt sex, as Zoe York says.
Oh.
Yeah.
She had to get the butt sex.
I had to. Zoe York said it. I had to share it.
I have 3 books on
really
my list with butt
emotional.
sex, so. And lube is included in the butt sex.
Good. Prep is important. Okay.
Yes.
Any other books that we forgot to mention that we need to talk about?
Yeah, Power Plays and Straight A's. Ian Finley, Sex and James. The twin is like he's supposed the hockey star. His twin brother is like, please look out for my nerdy friend at school, and he kind of takes him on under his wing, and then oops, butt sex.
Butt sex. I mean, honestly, that's how I would respond too. Oops. I will say Lisa Suzanne writes a lot of brother's best friend and teammate's best friend. But I struggle with her books because they're usually like 5 novellas. So they're like, but they're not novellas. They're like 5 books that are 250 pages and you get 5 books to get the complete story. I mean, they're all in Kindle Unlimited, but it's a little hard for me.
It's like 1,000 pages for one book. Okay.
And I don't know that I love any one character that I'm going to read 1,000 pages.
I will not ever. That is not a single book to me. I struggle with books that are long. You know this. Like
No.
Krista Sandor is the only one who writes books that are long that I will read because she's funny and I love her. And I would probably do just about anything for Krista Sandor. But
have you watched her TikToks?
Only the ones you send me because I don't have TikTok.
They are.
She puts them up as reels.
She puts them on reels on Instagram. So if you're not following Krista on Instagram, follow her on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I follow her on Instagram for sure. She's the cutest.
The one in the bathroom killed me. Like if I'm ever just
dancing in your bathroom,
I just go watch Krista Sandor dance in her bathroom because I'm like, who is this person? Because you can't see her face. All you see is her phone.
So, funny
I'm like,
story, I
"That's
sent that to
cute."
Shauna and I was like, this is why I love her, right? And Shauna's like, oh, I really like her boots. I'm like, those aren't boots. Those are her leg warmers that she's obsessed with.
I really love the little song she was singing the other day in her video.
Into the Whisk.
Yeah.
She made her teenage son film that. He's like 16. He was dying.
Every single thing Krista Sandor is like, can you be my best friend, please?
Can you be? She's a hoot. I adore her. Okay. Guess what time it is, guys? Guess what time? It's that time for Book of the Week. It's Book of the Week time. Lindsay, you're up first. What's your Book of the Week?
So I have Let's Get Textual by Tegan Hunter. It is in Audible Plus, I think. I think it's in Audible Plus. The audio is pretty good. It is single narrator, single point of view. But it is like a mistaken number, like a wrong number situation. They start texting each other. They wind up meeting and going on a date, falling in love. Really cute. Super cute.
Super cute. I love that.
Is there a goat? Because there's a goat on the
There
cover.
is a
and
baby
that's so-
goat. I
Mhm.
forgot about the baby goat. He gets
Mhm.
a baby goat because of their text exchanges. And he's like, what have you made me do? I now have a baby goat. It's adorable. The baby goat is cute. I don't.
Okay. Baby goats. Got it. Jenny, what's your Book of the Week?
Teacher of the Year. It's book 1 in Teachers in Love by M.A. Wardell. It's a male. He is a Jewish kindergarten teacher, and the other hero is a single dad that's just moved into the neighborhood.
I think Jenny
There's
is
some-
entering her MM phase, which Heather
Been
is
there for a
grateful
while.
for the company.
Yeah, I need some friends in this area.
I'm here for it.
But
But
it's
yes,
cute.
there's a lot of tropes. It took a little while to like warm up, and
Yeah.
then like they deal with some heavy stuff, and they did it in a very mature way that made the HEA believable.
Awesome. Heather, what's your Book of the Week?
My book of the week is The Worst Kept Secret by QB Tyler. It is an age gap, best friend's brother, kind of sneaking around. One, QB Tyler can write an age gap, and she can write a steamy book.
There is less
And-
plot, more sex.
I don't care. She teased the audio, and I was like, oh, that's right. That's been sitting on my Kindle. I'm gonna need that. And then when that audio comes, this girl's gonna get it because hot damn is Theo hot.
Okay. Is he the brother of the girl from Seasons of Secrets?
It's the dad of the girl.
Oh, I have
And
that
then
one on
the
my
next
Kindle.
door
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then the next door neighbor, Avery.
Okay.
Avery is best friends with Lucas, the brother, and the son. And
Okay.
she just graduated from college.
Yeah,
like
but she's also
24.
best friends with the sister. Like she's very close with the sister too.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, Season of Secrets was naughty.
This one's very not. There's a scene in the kitchen where Lucas, the son, and the best friend goes upstairs to shower. And then there's a scene on the kitchen island.
Okay. I hope they have Clorox wipes with bleach or peroxide wipes with bleach.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway, I'm not eating food at their house.
Yep. Becky's not eating food at anybody's house that she
Neither
doesn't like.
If I see you wipe your counters, then we can talk. Okay, my Book of the Week, even though apparently a hit has been put out on my life by this author, my Book of the Week is Aldo by Melanie Moreland. It is book 1 in her Men of the Fall series. It is a very gray, morally gray mafia romance. It's not super dark. Aldo is great, and his heroine, she is phenomenal. Like, talk about a girl with a backbone that goes and pursues what she wants. It's amazing. I really enjoyed it, and I have dove into Roman, and I'm excited to read his book. Yes, Gretchen, I have gone back. Just update for everyone. I did a live last week with Melanie Moreland. I shared a toxic trait in what I thought was a safe space, that I do not read epilogues. The lady who is like the nicest person in all of Romancelandia threatened to put me in a Jeep and drive me off a cliff because I don't read epilogues.
In her book, not in real life.
In a book, I don't know. Like, I'm starting to worry.
She was gonna let me, like, I could get off at the gas station.
Yeah, and she's like, you should watch your drinks when you come to Louisville for Knockout.
Oh, Melanie.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
super spicy. So yes, I did go back and I read the epilogue of Aldo and I read the outtake of Aldo before I started Roman. So because we have a happy hour coming up with her and I did not want to get like on, killed off or anything. Trying not to die.
So, question, did your opinion of epilogues change?
No.
I knew
didn't.
that. I knew.
I didn't need it. The story is so well crafted. You know that this couple is together and it helps set up the next book. And the outtake was great, actually, because I wanted that closure of her ex-boyfriend. But I didn't need it to make the story better. Like, I already liked the story.
Yeah, it's basically a bonus scene, or it should be a bonus scene if your story wraps
Just
up.
give it a different chapter. Like, give it the next chapter number. Stop calling it an epilogue. I don't know.
I feel like, you know how when you're watching a movie and the movie ends and you're like, I just kind of wish they would have given me a little bit more
So
about...
chapter it, don't epilogue it. Do you stay for the cutscenes at the movie theater if you go see a Marvel movie? Do you stay for the cutscenes?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I just
Go
come
to
home
Marvel
and watch
movies.
them on YouTube because, like, to sit there for an extra 15 minutes for nothing is dumb.
Wait, you don't look on your phone before you go to see if there is a cutscene?
I'm not allowed
Marvel
to
movie.
do
There's always-
that.
Yeah, there's a rule at their house about, like,
We can
the
only watch the
trailers,
very first
yeah.
trailer. We can't watch the following trailers because it gives too much of the movie. Listen, I live with a lot of crazy here, friend, but I love them.
I'm not allowed to go to Marvel movies. I apparently would ruin a Marvel movie, so I don't
We
get
have
to
very-
go.
It's very cool.
Okay, so new segment. Can you guess the book? Each week, we share a quote from a recent or popular Buzzing About Romance read, and you have the chance to email us your guess at quote@buzzingaboutromance.com. We will announce the correct guess on next week's show. Last week's quote was, "Baby, I don't know how to be any clearer. Every second spent with you is my favorite. Stop trying to put yourself last when you're number one for me." Does anyone have a guess of the book? Because nobody guessed.
I see it in the notes.
Yeah. But I did read the book.
You did. It was like your top book. It's Iced Out by Veronica Eden. That was last week's. And nobody guessed it. I didn't get any emails. Nobody guessed it. This week's quote. Okay. I feel like I gave a lot away in this quote.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We mentioned this author on this
That is
episode.
a huge hint.
We mentioned this author on this episode. If you could be a fairy princess or a hot dog, which one would you pick? We mentioned this author. Okay. Patreon update. Swag packs incoming. Hey, romance enthusiasts, we're busting with excitement to share some fabulous news with you. Brace yourselves, because the highly anticipated swag packs for February are en route to your doorstep. As proud sponsors of the Fancy Drink, Cold Brew, and Queen Bee tier, we can't wait for you to dive into these exclusive treasures nestled within. Each swag pack, jam-packed with romance-themed stickers, mood reading cards, and other delightful surprises, will be dispatched around the 10th of each month. The best part? We're spreading the love globally, so international shipping is happily on the house. Just a heads up, this awesome perk is a monthly affair. If you happen to join the Patreon family after the 10th, your inaugural swag pack will be on its way the following month. How'd I do, guys?
Perfect.
Spiced it up,
The
right?
only thing better is the swag pack itself.
The only thing better is the swag pack itself. But that's not all. Being part of the Patreon community unlocks a treasure trove of perks for you. Alongside these fantastic swag packs, you also gain access to exclusive episodes, the chance to dive into the captivating world of Buzzing Book Club, which this last weekend we spent with Susan Stoker. Talk about so fun.
It's so great.
So
I
fun.
was so bummed to miss that one because I love her so much.
She was
Pretending it wasn't happening.
You just
I
pretend-
honestly I coped with it by pretending it wasn't happening.
That's okay. Merritt is getting herself named as a villain, and we gave her a new trope.
Mhm.
Like, it was
Amazing.
very productive. She acted like book club was a focus group. Anyway, March's book club is Maggie Gates, What Saves Us,
Ooh.
which is such a good book, right, Jenny?
And I haven't read it yet. I have
Yes.
not read Maggie Gates at all yet.
So she would
despite-
count as your new to you author for March.
Yes.
Okay, keen on staying in the loop with all of our happenings, check out our event calendar at bookcaseandcoffee.com/events. We got a lineup of exciting gatherings, including happy hours, IG lives, and book clubs, eagerly awaiting for you to join all the festivities. Get ready to be swept away by the romance and enjoy the perk of being cherished members of our Patreon community. Cheers to the love of romance and all things delightful. Right?
Cheers.
I just, I gotta spice it up. We've been doing this a minute,
It's
Love it.
you're doing a good job.
right? Thanks,
Mm.
Heather.
Are
Anyway.
we in year 4 now?
Yes, we're in year 4. Next June, 5th anniversary. Because we started in June. We started in June of 2020. So,
Wow.
which we might have something fun coming up in June of 2025. So, stay tuned. Anyway, thank you everybody for hanging out and joining me for this episode.
It was so fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course.
So much fun. Thank you.
We'll be back next Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, or you can listen that night wherever you get podcasts. Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.